What is the most ridiculous thing you have overheard somebody say? On the shuttle bus to campus. He keeps saying he loves me more than I love him. It's ridiculous. Well, you are cheating on him. He doesn't know that, though. So it's not fair. Why didn't Bush stop Katrina? Overheard a girl say this at school in the days after the hurricane. I imagine she hoped that President Bush would stand on the beach in Louisiana, wielding his executive staff of power and shouting "Y'all shall not pass" as the hurricane roars in angry defiance and turns back its course in the face of such ethereal power. A friend of mine once described his music tastes as stuff that could be played at Starbucks, but has not yet been played at Starbucks. That actually makes a lot of sense. A teenager on the bus once said that if your hair is dyed when you get pregnant, you can pass that color onto your child. Using teenagers is cheating. I heard my former boss telling some of the bar patrons that Obama was trying to outlaw 7 of the 10 commandments. Some things I've heard recently. I feel like I've been grape-fed by my roommate after cop asked her to keep the noise down. "They are all ducking liars," said classmate when no one else raised their hand for getting into or more car accidents due to texting. "Asians have the worst hair," said by classmate. My roommate told me the other day that the eggs are hatching. I was confused and asked for an explanation. He said they filled Beanie Babies with spider eggs. That's what those white gonads are inside them. Apparently there was one of those stupid articles going around on Facebook saying that the old Beanie Babies were filled with spider eggs and are starting to hatch after all of these years. He full on believed it. This guy I used to work with was bragging about how quickly he walked to work. 12 miles in 1 hour. He was an ass clone. Not exactly overheard. But my friend told me that he told his friend about Reddit, and this is what she said. "Isn't Reddit the dark side of the internet where you can buy gums and look for child porn?" Would probably be when I was shadowing a coworker at my job when I first started. They were talking to a client who was having trouble with the software and eventually got to the point where my coworker asked if they could send a screenshot. That's when I heard the client say, "Can I fax you a screenshot?" This was not a question of if it was possible, but instead a question of if this would suffice for my coworker. My coworker gave me a WTF kind of look and said that would be fine. Lo and behold, we received a fax of a screenshot shortly after that. I was working in the library one day in high school, and there were these 2 girls sitting behind me working on the computer. I assumed they were working on a Spanish assignment. Anyway, I overhear one of them ask the other for a large Spanish-speaking country. I turn around and tell them that Mexico is a good choice, and the most obvious one, I would think. In response, one of the girls looks at me and says they don't speak Spanish there. They speak Mexican. Edit, as a few people have pointed out, Spain probably should have been the most obvious one. Overheard 2 employees talking at Starbucks. "It's like all we do here is make coffee." I was at work. "Is chicken a meat?" It was me. I said this. Not my brightest moment. I heard one man ask the captain of a sunset sailboat, "How many sunset tours do you do a day?" The captain just kinda looked at him all weird and the man said, "Oh, right," and walked away slowly. I laughed and made a comment to the captain about how silly that question was. He just nonchalantly said, "You would be surprised how often I'm asked that." Yes. This was in Florida. I was in an economics class and the discussion was about improving or growing the labor force within the United States, and some girl in front of me stated, "We should reinstate the draft so that more men are out of the labor force and therefore more women can enter." The professor, who normally enjoys playing devil's advocate and entertaining amusing ideas, was simply shocked at the stupidity. TLDR girl says more men should be forced to go to war so she can get a job. I was working in a call center trying to help this guy sign into an account of his, and he kept telling me, "Your stupid site isn't working." After probably around 15 minutes, I asked him what internet browser he is using, thinking maybe it is an outdated version of IE or something. He then in a totally serious voice says, "Wait, Does my computer have to be on for me to access the internet? Just yesterday I heard a woman at my work ask what's the capital of Amsterdam. Her friend followed up with pretty sure it's Copenhagen. She wrote answer down on something with a confident look on her face. Neighbor girl to a fellow neighbor. Walking his dog. True or false? Why is your dog peeing in my yard? Heard this one just yesterday. You know, I think my right hand is more sensitive than my left hand. Pretty sure I said that about my left hand yesterday. Dude. Everything I say is just shit. Overheard while patiently waiting for my tacos at a local Mexican takeout place. I never take medication. They cause chemical reactions in your body. Think about that. A chemical reaction inside your body. No way is it good to have chemical reactions going on inside your body. I was wondering if I should tell him to stop breathing. You know how we see all these foreign countries on TV on the news? Do they see us too? Heard a girl say this to her friends in the lift at university. Her friends all acted like she'd just asked the deepest, most philosophical question ever. After they got off at their floor, everyone else in the lift burst out laughing. Heard two guys trying to figure out what was wrong with their solution to a math assignment. They had gotten the result that x was equal to y, which couldn't be the case. They reasoned. Because they are obviously different letters. One guy was seriously saying no. Look. One is x and the other is y. They can't be equal. This was at university. In the math department. Overheard one of my friend's mom while gaming and on Skype, and she told him pick up all these damn acorns in the backyard. I don't want another tree growing in my yard. She literally made him spend 3 hours outside picking up every single acorn in his backyard. In Walmart. I overheard the phone conversation of a young, around 18-ish, girl who had a small baby with her. She told the person on the phone, "Asshole cheated on me with a bunch of skanks. I'm not even sure this baby is mine. I need a paternity test." This is going back a while. But I was in the lunch line in high school, kind of a sheltered suburb high school, and two girls were talking in front of me. I didn't hear what led up to it, but one said, with a tone of authority in her voice, "No. When it's a boy he's gay. When it's a girl she's bi." The implication seemed to be that there was no such thing as a gay female. And no such thing as a bisexual male. The other girl said, "Oh, like she had just learned something useful." A friend criticizing a Chinese restaurant. I mean, that restaurant was so bad. I couldn't even see if there was hair on the floor. You know what I mean? No. I do not know what you mean. Are you concerned that it was too dark? Or just too dark to look for hair on the floor? Is floor hair level your typical gauge of restaurant quality? Nothing about your question is normal. You'll find no consensus from me or anyone else. Ever, unless they are under the influence of hallucinogens. This is what I would have replied at the time. But the man's strange jabbering put my brain into some kind of goddamn feedback loop. Which took me a couple minutes to break. One of my managers was showing baby pictures to another. Manager 1. I thought you had a girl. Manager 2. Yes. She's a girl. Manager 1. Oh. But she's not wearing pink. Heard 3 guys conversing about their night. One said, "Yeah man, I usually just hide her wheelchair so she can't leave the bed, so we have to duck." Bigfoot exists. But we don't know about him. Because he's protected. By God. Because he's really Cain. Then came all the similarities between Cain and Bigfoot. I was eating sushi with my wife when I overhear a man trying to explain his fantastic idea to his group of friends. He thought that gravity was instantaneous. So because it was instantaneous, it could be used to instantly communicate across the world using gravity sensors. He said it was like when there are 2 brothers and one dies. The other instantly knows when it happens due to some psychic force. I made eye contact with the man across from me. And we both shook our heads at the monumental stupidity we had just witnessed. My wife and I were laughing as the idiot left with his group. In passing, He said Green Lantern here knows what I am talking about because I was wearing a GL shirt. Though my wife told me it was rude later. I told him no one knows what he is ducking talking about. The gentleman I shared an incredulous look with earlier laughed. I'm sure people have bred cats and dogs together. We just haven't seen it too much because it isn't a big thing. Said by an animal science major at college. This is kinda late to the party. But my friend is not the brightest. Definitely keeps things interesting though. For example, me. Oh that's right. There's a lunar eclipse tonight. Friend. Oh yeah. Good thing I'm not pregnant anymore or I'd have to put on a red dress. Me. What? Friend. Yeah. The rays from the blood moon can affect your baby and do things like turning them gay. So you have to wear a red dress to protect yourself from it. At a fried chicken takeout place. A lady orders a 10-piece and goes, yeah, don't give me any leg pieces. I'm allergic. My girlfriend and I once overheard a guy say to his friends, I got pepper sprayed 2 nights in a row this weekend. So you know I was doing something right. 2 guys in a parking lot of a cinema having a conversation which had been prompted by the movie Lucy. All I heard from the conversation was, yeah, so Stephen Hawking. He like one of those people that uses more than 10% of their brain, that's why he's in the wheelchair and stuff. Drunk college girls walking down the street when one says, Sarah, remember when you were Jessica and I peed on you? Edit, sweet gold. Thanks stranger. Do you think Brazilians celebrate Christmas? Yeah probably. But it's probably on a different day. Yeah that makes sense. Question asked by a girl in my history class to another student wearing a Pantera shirt. Is Pantera where all the blue people from Avatar live? No. But they sell bread and soup? No. You're thinking of Panera. Pantera is an internet radio site where you can make your own stations. One of my classmates thought that horses didn't exist because they were considered fruits. Tangentially related, my sister refuses to believe in reindeer. They are such an integral part of the Santa mythos that she thinks they're just as real as the North Pole and the elves. Every time we go to a zoo or see them on TV or something, she thinks we're trying to pull something on her. Middle school me on the bus. 2 girls in the seat behind me are talking about a chemistry test. Girl 1. This test is going to be brutal. Girl 2. I love Jurassic Park. There wasn't even a pause in the conversation. Sitting in a bistro type cafe at lunch. I heard, my personal relationship with Christ really helped me realize the Escalade was the right choice. I looked and yes. It was a table full of middle-aged women with shopping bags. Drinking white wine. The speaker even had a haircut. Should we take a shopping cart? With complete seriousness. The person responds. You never know how much a 10-pound turkey is going to weigh. If we evolved from monkeys, how come there are still gorillas? Because they keep pressing B when it's time to evolve. Standing in line for Chipotle. There is like more than 10 people in here. How do they have so much food? At the Museum of Natural History. Looking up at the blue whale hanging from the ceiling. Wow. How does that whale fit in the ocean? My mum heard this. Person 1. Why are we here again? Person 2. To get my malaria pills before we go. Person 3. I don't know why you are bothering. I took them last time I went and didn't get malaria.